Okay, for today's Project Euler problem, we're going to do problem number 6, sum squared difference. So like always, we're going to start by copying this, creating a new sub VI, or a new VI, and putting it here. Control, nope. Oh yeah, we can do that first. Okay, problem 6. This is called sum squared difference. Sum squared difference. Okay, and I'm going to copy this in here. So the problem reads, find the difference between the sum of the squares of the first 100 natural numbers and the square of the sum. So it breaks it down how to do this. The sum of the squares is squaring each number and then adding them all up, versus the square of the sum is adding up all numbers and then squaring them. Then you take the subtraction, you subtract the difference between them. And what this is asking us is to find the difference between the sum of the squares for the first 100 natural numbers. Okay, so this problem is actually pretty straightforward. The first thing we need to do is create an array of 1 to 100. So this needs to be 100 elements long. And this array should be visible items, labels. You can get a vertical scroll bar, and I'll show you why I do that in a minute. And there should be an array from 1 to 100. Now the reason I check this vertical scroll bar is because if you don't, the only option you have for cycling through this array is either to use the numbers or to type it in here. And I find that if I have a vertical scroll bar available, it's very easy for me to just scroll to the bottom, and I don't have to think about and guess what number I need to show me the end. So that's why I added that. So you can see here, I have an array from 1 to 100. So now what I need to do, this is creating the right thing. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to create two arrays here. The first is I'm going to create an array of the squares of each of these numbers. And then I'm also going to create an array of just the numbers themselves. So this is going to be squared, and this is going to be natural. I'm going to call it natural. Okay, natural. And again, just to check, I'm going to make sure that these are actually squares and these are all naturals, and it should be pretty straightforward. 1, 4, 9, 16. Yep. Okay. So the next thing I have to do is simply do this algorithm. So the first is I'm going to add all of these squared numbers together. So I'm going to add array elements, and then I'm going to find this number. And this is going to give me, this is getting messed up because of that again. This is going to give me this first problem here, the sum of the squares. So I take a square of each of those numbers, sum them all together, and this is the sum of squares. Sum of squares. Sum of squares, not sum of squares. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take these naturals, add them all together. I'm going to delete this. So now I have this portion of the algorithm, and then I'm just going to square that number. And I actually, come on. And I actually don't know off the top of my head which of these numbers is going to be bigger. Square of sums. So I'm going to run this real quick and figure out which of these is bigger. Okay, obviously the square of the sums is much bigger. And I'm going to just subtract now the square of the sums from the sum of the squares. And that is going to give me a number here. And I'm going to call this sum square difference. And I should be able to run this and see the sum square difference. And that number is 25,164,150. And we're going to go here. What do we see? Problem number 6. 25,164,150. So just to clean this up real quick, I'm going to delete those because I don't need them. And I'm going to save this. And that is problem number 6 for Project Euler. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.